Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm hopefully going to show you why an old dog can still be taught new tricks. That's right, I'm playing one of the oldest Tier 8 premium light tanks in the game. It is the ill-fated Grand Finals edition of the Wargaming.net League, the M4190, a vehicle that I like to call the Black Dog because it's a bulldog that is got a lovely, rich black colour to it. Now this vehicle I have on my free-to-play account. And a lot of you might be questioning, how did you manage to get this thing on a free-to-play account? Well, in the first ever black market that there was, the first deal that Wargaming put out, of course, was the Black Dog, the black light tank here. And I think it was about 5 million credits, and I managed to pick one up. Sounds like a really good deal to me. 5 million credits if you do have the privilege of having a premium account, or maybe you're just really careful and you use some credit boosters that you get from some events, you can probably grind out in about 5 to 10 hours. 5 to 10 hours of playing World of Tanks in premium vehicles to be able to purchase another premium vehicle. Is it the best deal? I don't know. It depends how much you value your time. For me, and all of you free-to-play players out there will know that if you had the option of playing for 5 to 10 hours to be able to get a premium tank, that's probably going to be a very good deal. Because there are a lot of people out there right now who are furiously trying to finish the grind for the Kampfpanzer 07RH, which I managed to do yesterday on this very account, on my free-to-play account. So I managed to finish that. Thank you very much to all of you who tuned in and watched it happen. Took me, I think it was 37 or 38 hours this time. Not too bad. It's my best time so far for all the reasons that I talked about yesterday. So now that I've set the scene, let's talk about this tank a little bit more. So this vehicle is actually pretty voracious for a Tier 8 light tank. It has nearly 2,200 damage per minute. If you're penetrating with its armor-piercing rounds, it has pretty darn good high-explosive anti-tank rounds with 250mm of penetration. But more importantly, look at these high-explosive rounds. 102mm of penetration and 320 alpha damage. These HE rounds can be put to great effect, just like we started this game off by shutting down the links to win the hill. Now what I'm going to do is just bread and butter World of Tanks, using your third-person camera to be able to see if a tank is aiming at you, and then knowing that I've got a better rate of fire than the Object 430, so it doesn't matter that he's a higher-tier Soviet medium tank, as long as we can try and just get an idea whether he's aiming at us, or if we see that he fires, then we put some pressure on him. And you can see that we're testing this 430 right now. We're also using the ring on our minimap to know that we're not actually spotted by the Conqueror, with the 50 meters proxy spotting distance, and I'm just trying to get an idea of when I can come around and try and get a cheeky shot. So we actually bounced off the 430, but we saw that he missed us, which means that we should be able to get another shell in before they reload. But the sneaky Conqueror managed to get a 433 damage clap into our light tank, and all light tank players out there will know that if you get clapped by 120mm caliber guns, you are not doing very well. So I just got hit by artillery in a subsequent shot for 279, and now we're down to 116 hit points. And you can see free-to-play problems right there. I never use premium consumables on my free-to-play account because I want to try and... It's the whole point of playing on the account, is to try and play as cheaply as possible and see what can be done in World of Tanks without having all of the advantages that the premium customers have. Unfortunately, because we're using a small med kit and we lost 2 crew members to a single high explosive shell, I have to make the decision. Do I want my left hand or my right hand? Well, I decide that while the left hand's useful for loading, aka the loader, but the right hand's good for shooting because it's the gunner, then I choose to keep my right hand in this situation. Now, if I was in a close quarters combat fight, of course I would take the loader to be able to get the shells in the tank quicker, but in this kind of a scenario where there's quite a long time between our shells and we really want to be able to get those accurate shots in, yeah, I'm not going to keep doing that for the entire video, then of course I'm going to be taking the gunner on top of the hill. So in this scenario, the ELC, even 90 on the enemy team, is doing a fantastic job, and that is that they are abusing the proxy spotting distance mechanics of mines to just keep me spotted, and a less experienced player will probably have not left this little safe location that we have here, and probably will get splashed by artillery or maybe even get hit by a tank destroyer. I know that I have to stay put. We know that the artillery is down in that location, and we just have to wait for long enough And we thank the Borask as well for managing to get ourselves out of that tricky situation. Now that we're no longer spotted, I think it's about time to move out and try and use the bushes again to try and find that Scorpion G. We are currently in a neck-and-neck game here. Although we are up 2 tanks on the enemy team, the hit points are actually in the enemy team's favor. They've got 1,000 more hit points. And that's because they got a full health tier 9 reward Soviet heavy tank down there, the 7772. That is going to be a pain to be able to deal with. And we also have not yet spotted the object 704. So at least we know where about 3 to 4,000 of the enemy's hit points are, and that is in the form of tier 9 tanks. So unfortunately for the Borask, he ventures forwards, puts a good shot into the object 704, but the 704 looks like they reduced the Borask's hit points down to 464 hit points. Okay, that is an absolute disaster for the Borask, because that now means he's a one-shot for the Scorpion. He's obviously a one-shot for the 704. Artillery could splash him. UDES could high roll. IS-6, 7772, all of the enemy vehicles have got big alpha damage guns. So the Borask cannot take any more chances. And let's not even talk about my hit points. We're down to 116, which means that even HE shells splashing near my tank, at least for now until Wargaming ruin them next patch, are going to also be able to take my vehicle down. Alright, so I let the Borask know that I'm going to help him. I was planning on making my way towards the K5 area and try and develop a pincer attack with the Borask, but unfortunately for me, the Borask seems to be wanting to go and do their own thing. The artillery shuts down our battle bunker of a vehicle, the T-95, and I'm a little bit worried about this scenario now. I want to harass the artillery, I want to see if I can manage to shut them down, but the 704 will be protecting them and the Scorpion G as well, and I also have to watch out for maybe the UDES or the 7772 crossfire. It is going to be a tricky one to deal with. Alright, so now I've managed to sneak my way up into the bush. I'm asking for somebody to be able to shoot this artillery. I'm thinking, shall I fire or shall I let the artillery fire? Well, maybe the artillery are preoccupied. I probably can't hang around. Look, we are 1,200 hit points against 4,000 on the enemy team. They outnumber us with regards to their hit points 3 to 1. And now, with the UDES shutting down the G-Saw on my team, the vehicles are even, but they've got 4 tanks, and we've got 2 self-propelled guns. I'd rather have the 4 tanks than the 2 self-propelled guns, especially if you've got a good amount of hit points to go with them. Fortunately for us, however, it looks like the E50 is going down swinging because they shut down the 7772, who was, albeit a couple of minutes ago, on full hit points. I'm very surprised about that. So I'm still using these fabulous high explosive rounds on the Black Dog to see if we can manage to deal 320 damage to the Scorpion. And now it's me and 2 self-propelled guns versus 3 vehicles, 2 of which are higher tier than me. And one, the UDES 16, is on 5 kills, so he must be thinking, whoa, possible Radley Walters medal. Let's see if we can deny it to him. And here he comes, UDES round the corner. We pen his lower plate for 359. He's going at us like a bull to a red flag, and, well, we're going to be giving him the red flag for that absolute foul of a play coming round the corner against a dangerous German light tank, shutting him down with a second penetrating shell to the side of the Swedish medium tank. And suddenly, with artillery also finishing off the Scorpion G that we managed to get some good spotting on after our penetrating high explosive shell, we're up to 4 or 5 penning HE shells in a row here when we think about the shell against the artillery. And wow, we are suddenly back in this game. But we have a raid boss at the end of it, a higher tier Soviet tank destroyer. And oh wow, I've got to really give myself a pat on the back for the free to play here. If I was on my main account, I'd be loading gold in this scenario. Actually, in retrospect, I don't think loading gold would probably even help unless I'm dealing with the front of the 704. In this kind of a situation, I probably want to have armor-piercing rounds so I can also damage his tracks and also go through into the tank. So we lob a shell over the ridge. That's the first of 5 that we're going to have to pen if we want to be able to win this game. A second one lowers his hit points now down to 740, meaning that actually with that decent roll, we're probably going to take him out in either 3 or 4 shells. And that can make a big difference in World of Tanks, whether the RNG is going to be favorable to you or not. Alright, 5 minutes and 30 seconds. The Object 704 has also shut down 5 vehicles. So I've denied 1 Top Gun, and to all intents and purposes, probably a Radley Walters medal to the UDES on the enemy team. Now let's see if we can make this Object 704 sweat to be able to secure their Top Gun. I'm on 2 kills, 3,600 damage. Not really too much spotting, but it is mines after all. So the 704 advances forwards. I don't fire. I don't really want to reveal my position and let the object 704 know where I am, but clearly they are not a bad player as they reversed, knowing that they're spotted. Now, in this kind of a situation, it's very tricky for a light tank. There are quite a few bushes, as we can see on mines, but when you've got this kind of a situation, we've only got 4 minutes and 40 seconds left, and the cap circle is an encounter. It's not like I can just rush to their base, get in the cap circle 10 seconds before they do, and then either force them to come to me there, or maybe even cap before they're able to drive back to base. What I have to do is, I can't go into that corner of the map. I can't really go after the object 704 with the bush location that they had. How am I going to dig a 704 out of this position? It's just going to be absolutely impossible. I could maybe double on round back, try and sneak my way up along here, hope that I don't get spotted going into this bush, and then try to shoot them in the corner. But I think the more sensible option for me right now, rather than leave it to chance and having the 704, probably in this bush location, difficult to possibly take out, and if I blind fire, maybe they blind fire me. I want to turn it into a close quarters combat fight. Seems a bit weird, right? That you would want to turn this into a close quarters combat fight when you're a light tank against a relatively well-armored tank destroyer. But with these buildings, I'm going to be able to use my mobility, and I'm hopefully going to be able to catch them in a side position or a rear position. Now, when you're approaching these kind of 1v1s in World of Tanks, where you are the faster tank and you're playing against a vehicle without a turret, the most important thing that you can do is to try and get their repair kit on cooldown. Back in the day in World of Tanks, when repair kits were only used once, at this kind of a stage of the battle, I might throw caution to the wind, hope the 704 has already used the repair kit, and then just lock their tracks down. Now, with obviously repair kits having a 90-second cooldown, you've got to be very careful, and you've got to manage to take their tracks off once before then you can lock their tracks down and then be able to reposition. So in this scenario, I had people in Twitch chat telling me, hey, go up on the hill, go up on the hill. But the reason why I'm sitting here is because I don't want to get shot from the hill. I thought the 704 might make their way up there. I thought that the 704 would be up on the hill and try and get a crossfire. By sitting in this position, it means that if he comes down here, I'm going to proxy spot him, and then I'll be able to hopefully engage him around the building. And by facing my tank this way and aiming this way, if he approaches me from this location, I'm going to be able to go forwards and get out of harm's way. But there we go. The object 704 actually went all the way round the back to be able to sneak in. Not a disaster for me because he didn't have a chance to kill me, but kind of a disaster for me because now we are locked down. And I really wanted to be able to get them in a position where I could maybe have forced them to use their repair kit or to soften them up a little bit before they managed to go in. Now, does anyone notice they've actually got 633 hit points? Does that mean that they actually lost about 90 hit points? Maybe they were on top of the hill and they slipped down that slope and lost a few of them. I was hoping they maybe lose a few more. All right, with 2 minutes left on this game, what I have to do right now is to try and bait this object 704 into shooting my tracks. But remember, he will overmatch the whole of the side of my tank. So what I'm trying to do right now is give him just enough of my tracks so that he will hopefully shoot the back of my tracks, but not actually hit my hull at all. Because if he hits my hull, then he's going to be able to overmatch me. What I'm doing now is I'm actually going 50 meters away so I can avoid being proxy spotted, but I make a little bit of a misplay there as I go too close to the 704, and my planned ambush is all for nothing. Alright, so maybe we can manage to lock down the tracks of the 704. And what we're going to do now is we're going to fire HE rounds. And by locking him in position here and firing HE, I'm hoping that I can manage to secure the position. Now as I manage to go forwards, we see that the object 704 doesn't quite use the repair kit, so we're still going to have to lock down their repair kit one more time or we're not going to be able to do this. And we are once again in a stalemate. What I'm going to do is if he doesn't take a shot at me right now, I'm going to reverse out. And oh my word, he did manage to fire at me. And oh, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. HE shells taking off the tracks. Are they going to repair? No, they're not. Maybe they're waiting, hoping, or maybe they have just given up. And this is the situation you want to be in your light tanks. Alongside the 704 are lining up so you can put the final shot into their back and feel like a bit of a hero at the end of the game. That is what World of Tanks is all about. And I guess you can still teach an old dog new tricks. And no, of course, I'm talking about the tank, not me, even though I've been playing this game for 10 years now. So a great result for a good tank here. We managed to get an Orlix medal for destroying 2 or more enemy vehicles that are at least 1 tier higher than us, we get a Confederate medal for damaging 6 opponents that were subsequently killed by our allies. And we show perfect marksmanship here with 23 shots, 23 of those hitting the enemy tanks and 17 of those managing to pen. And we were playing without a premium account at this time, but we still make 65,000 credits profit, only spending less than 8,000 on ammunition, which you can do so if you are not YOLOing heat rounds left, right and center. And an ace tanker for the 1,549 base experience here, showing you what you can do in a light tank, which is definitely one of the more combat based light tanks, especially with those high explosive rounds, even on a close quarters map. That was the vehicle that I like to call the Black Dog. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, hope you enjoyed this one today. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, however, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Sunday, it's time for the World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, I'm going to be finally seeing whether the E50M, which is rumoured to be top of the tree on Tuesday, but it's not confirmed yet, is actually weak. If you don't know why the E50M is a weak tank, then you really got to come along and I'll show you, right? Or maybe the E50M will show me. Anyway, really looking forward to seeing all of you live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic and hopefully I'll see you soon.